Hey everyone, it's Sara Oehler here at Softflex Company. I am the Sales and Marketing Manager for Softflex, but I also design and teach and even write books in my own spare time. So today I have put together just a really sweet little kit. A few months ago we were fortunate enough to get 14 boxes of just very random beading supplies from a warehouse that was closing down. And in looking through it, there wasn't a lot of any one thing. And so one of the challenges was how could we share all of these great materials with all of you out there, because we didn't have the time or the ability to put each single item online for sale. And so I created a kit, and I've done one last month. The September kit was blue, and there's still a couple available. You can go to our website, www.softflexcompany.com, to get one. The October kit, which we're going to work with today in the video, which is purple, did sell out. So there are no more of the October kits. But a lot of the materials in the kit are pretty common, typical materials that you can find. So I think a lot of people can probably develop a similar design to what I'm going to show you today from the beading kit. For those of you that ordered a kit last week in the live sale, your kits are in your packages. They didn't sell out. I pulled them out of inventory as soon as I could, so the kits didn't sell out before you got one. So you will be getting yours. If you requested one on the live sale last week, you will be getting one with your order. So having said that, we also have a new one available. So if you're interested, you watch this video, you really love it, I have a limited supply now of the November kit. It just went up online today for sale. They're $24.95. It again is a mixture of similar types of beads to the other kits. There's going to be some check style beads. There's going to be some seed beads, bugle beads, some gold-filled crimp tubes, white soft flex, some findings, and even a pretty little clear crystal in every package. So there's a mixture of items. There's some ear wires and things too. So it's kind of like a big conglomeration of a lot of different materials. And we'll be beading with that on November 22nd, I believe is the date. So pick up your package. And if you want to buy one today, anytime during the program or after the program, just comment sold November kit, and I'll make sure that I get that up to the folks upstairs that do all of the orders, and we'll get one out to you. Okay, so what are we gonna make today? I'm so excited. So I rushed around this morning to finish this. I had this necklace in my brain yesterday. I went and got a new phone yesterday, guys, so hopefully it holds out for the whole video. But I had this necklace in my brain at the phone store yesterday. And then when I got home, I didn't have the right crimping pliers to actually be able to make it. So I rushed around this morning and I'm so thankful that it actually worked the way that I expected it to, because you never really know what's in your head if it's going to actually work in real life. But it did work out, so I'm going to show you how to make this necklace today. We are going to make these cute little earrings, and they have kind of a little zigzag guy to them. And this is all materials from the October kit. And then I just wanted to go over making little dangles with head pins. And then there was some silk cord in the kit, so I was going to talk about how you can knot it and then do like a slide, basically, where it slides open and closed. This is a great jewelry making tip if you have any young kids where you're just sliding something over their neck. Like, this is perfect for my little girls. And it just kind of closes down to whatever size you need it to be, shorter or longer, but it actually just fits right over your head to make things really simple. So we have a ton to cover today, so let's get going. Okay, so I'm gonna flip my camera down so we can open up our kit and start working. So just a second, okay guys? decided to do my fancy angle here, and yeah, that didn't work so well. Okay, there we go. This fancy tripod always gets the best of me. Okay, I'm gonna flip you guys around fast. And all of those live sale orders have been going out, you guys. So if you ordered during the live sale, if you've paid your bill, it should have shipped like really recently. Here we go, it's pretty straight here. So if you place your order, it's exciting. You have beads on the way. I can't wait to see what all of you guys think about them too. I'm gonna edge it up a little bit. That'll be a little more comfortable for me. Okay, so in the kit for October, we have a bunch of different materials. Let's go through it first, and then we'll get going on our design. So you got 50 of the 2x2 Softlex crimp tubes. These are double the wall thickness of most crimp tubes on the market. They're seamless and strong and fantastic. And you also got a 10-foot spool of Softlex purple amethyst beading wire, which is one of my favorite colors of Softlex. And I know there's a lot of purple people out there that are probably gonna really love that. Rosa came in this morning and said, I love purple. What did you make with this kit? So she was excited to see it. You got a little square crystal. This is a Swarovski crystal, kind of in a topaz-y color. Some copper ear wires, some copper head pins, some clasps, and this all came from the treasure trove stuff, guys. These guys did, and then all of the beads came from the warehouse closure. Deb, are you not a purple person? There are so many purple people out there, I'm telling you. It's one of those colors where people like purple, they like really like purple. There's some seed beads. This came actually in the warehouse closure as well. This isn't a product that we normally carry or that I normally use to demonstrate, so that was kind of exciting to have something new. There's some little, oh, I thought these were black, but they're actually like a really dark red color. They do come up black here on the screen too, though. You got a really great visual on that one. Like actual purple people. Oh, Cindy's a purple person. I'm telling you, there's a bunch of them out there. Here's another shape. This is kind of an oval shape. This guy's a little bit more of a cylinder. And then again, more of a red rather than a purple. This is kind of a garnet color in a cylinder. So lots of great goodies in the bag. I was really drawn to the seed beads. So I think I'm gonna start with that necklace that I really love. Oh, maybe I'll finish with that. Why don't we start with the earrings? That's what we'll do. Okay, so to make the earrings, and let me pull them off of this so you can get a good look at them too. To make these earrings, they're super simple to make. I'm gonna use a pair of chain nose pliers, a pair of cutters, and a pair of round nose pliers. I'm gonna pull out the head pins that were in the kit. They're just your basic copper head pin. And a head pin, if you've never made jewelry before, is basically like a metal stick with a flat end that it can hold the bead in place. So if you look at the earrings, the flat end is at the bottom of the earring. Okay, so, and I need some ear wires. So I'm gonna open a couple of these. These, I think, are called lever backs, if I remember correctly. And the way they operate is it opens like this, your ear slips in and then it closes down. So they're kind of an extra secure ear wire. And then the front of this is a nice little open jump ring. You can actually open this up to attach something to it or just attach it, leaving it closed, but it does open, which is really handy sometimes. So a couple of ear wires, and then I need these particular beads. So let's find a couple of those too. 2 of the larger purple bead, and then there's like some flat round ones. 2 of those guys. Here we go. So now we've got everything we need, I think, to make our earring. Okay, so to get started, I am going to string on the larger of the 2 purple beads. I'm going to string just 1 bead. And what I did to make this shape was I just came right above the bead and I just bent the wire. Not a lot, not whole 90 degrees, maybe more like 45 degrees. Let me see if I can get in a little bit closer so you can see. And then I just went up a little bit, so like here, and I bent the wire again, the opposite way, sort of creating like a lightning bolt. I went up a little bit higher, and I did it again. And then I found kind of the middle of where that bead is at, and I bent up straight. So I've got a nice bend in here, just to give it a little bit of something extra. And then you can slip your bead on, your second bead, like that. And that's gonna hold it in place because it's got a nice bend there above it. But it'll bring in some of that copper. You know, this time, just like last time, I tried to create only using the kit that I had on hand. That way, if anybody doesn't have extra beads out there, they can still participate if they bought the kit. So in doing that, I didn't have any copper metal pieces to put between the beads, and I wanted a little bit of copper. So this was a way to add a little bit of metal coloring between the beads and the design without actually putting a spacer bead in between. So it worked out very nicely. Okay, so now to attach to my ear wire, I am going to come in with my chain nose plier, and I'm gonna go just a little bit, like, I don't know, what is that, like 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters above the bead, and I'm going to bend the wire to a 90-degree angle. So it's got just a little bit of space up there above the bead. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to bend this wire up over the top of the round nose, like so, creating half of the circle of my loop, and then I adjust the plier to the side and I bend the other half. Lots of different people do this in different ways. This is the most comfortable way for me. But I understand that there are other variations of how to make a wire wrapped loop out there for sure. I like it because it makes a really nice straight loop, and it just is sort of my habit and comfort zone. And I come back in with the chain nose pliers to hold on to the loop, and I pull this around. Now if I'm doing a bunch, I might use a second pair of chain nose pliers to actually do this bending rather than my fingers, because your fingers will get a little raw if you're doing a bunch of earrings. The other thing I like to do is I'm going to make sure my hole is straight with the zigzag. So you can see both the hole and the zigzag at the same time, basically. And if it's not, you can always just sort of bend it and it'll, straighten it out. You're gonna come in with your cutters. I use the flat side of my flush cutters to get in the closest I can to that wire. There's always kind of a little bit that sticks out, so I'm just gonna go back in with my chain nose and just tuck that down so it doesn't get caught on anything. And then you've got a really nice connection there that I can just connect onto my ear wire. So to open the ear wire, the loop actually opens on the top rather than the bottom. So I'm just going to open this up. You can kind of see it better maybe from this angle. Open this up. I'll slip on my earring and then just close it back up again. You always want to open jump rings out so you don't ruin that beautiful round earring shape that you've got there. And then you've got your earring, and you're gonna make another one just like it. In order to get the same shape, I usually will hold the second earring up so that I can just kind of get into that same groove, that same length. And I just eye it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. People don't really compare your two earrings that closely. You can definitely use something like a jig, or you can measure it if you really want to be precise. I'm never that precise though. I usually just kind of eye it out and use my pliers to see if I can get in kind of the same groove. So that's the pair of earrings that I made using the kit. Thank you. Kristen says, cool idea. Deb says, I love that. Yes, those lever backs, I use them on all the earrings I make. They're very secure, which is nice because they just kind of flip out, and then you put your ear in and then they close on the back, which is really nice. Cindy loves the zigzag. I do too, Cindy. Okay, so let's move on. Our next object is kind of a similar idea. I wanted to go over just making a basic head pin wrapped loop. And then I also wanted to talk about doing these knots that will kind of slip and slide to make a smaller or bigger necklace. So I'm gonna make one of these guys. Let me get some of this cord out. And we'll leave this here so we can kind of look at it while we're designing here. And I used some similar beads. Let's do this, and then I have one more. We'll do the very middle one and then talk about how they vary if you want to do something in a similar fashion. Rosa said her daughter would really like this as a choker, so to like tighten it up and just have these little beads kind of hanging between your little collarbones. And she thought that her daughter is in her 20s, so she thought she would really like something like that. So it might be a really nice Christmas present for somebody. But at any rate, what we're gonna do is we are gonna take another one of these head pins, and we're doing this middle guy here. So let me kind of separate him out from the others. We are going to take the bigger bead, and then again, that sort of flat round bead, and then the really deep dark garnet bead that almost looks black at the top. So it looks like this. And to make just a simple wired wrapped loop, it's very similar to what I was just showing you with the earrings, but I'm gonna do a much bigger version when I'm working with a silk cord like this. And so again, I am going to make my 90-degree angle. And I'm gonna go to the far back end of my pliers this time. So rather than being at the front tip where it's gonna make the smallest loop like I did with the earrings, I'm gonna go towards the back so I can make a pretty big loop, because this is a pretty thick cording. And the trick with this cording is the ends kind of split. So it can be kind of hard sometimes to even string it through it. Right now it's working great because this is a good sized loop, so you could do it this way. If you can't for some reason, before you close your loop, you can always slide the cording in the side of that little pre-made loop here. And that way you've got it in there, and then when you go to make your loop, it's already attached onto your silk cording. So I'm going to pretend like I needed to do it that way just in case. And again, I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, hold my loop, and then wind around the wire here. And you can go as many times as you want. I usually go maybe 1, 2, 3 times. I think the thing is usually to be consistent. If you're doing, you know, several of them, then you probably want to do about the same amount of loops on each one, so they're about the same length and they look right. But that's really, you know, it's up to you how many. And then I'm just going to clip off my extra bit here, and I can cinch it down. And then to tie it, you just do like a really simple knot around the cord. So I'm gonna go around the cord and just make a normal like overhand knot. And I don't want a whole bunch of cord on the edges, just like enough that I can grab onto it to pull on it. And one thing I like to do is I like to take my chain nose plier and really tighten that down as much as I can. That way the knot isn't going to come undone really easily, but you want it, you know, loose enough that it can still kind of slip and slide. And then on the other side, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to do a basic overhand knot like so, and you want to leave about the same amount of cord on this side that you had on the other. This is a really easy way to make, like I said, put a pendant on a child, just like something that's going to slip over their head really easily. And then you can just kind of pull on either side to make it longer to go over their head and then shorter to actually physically wear it. So that's a really, really nice tip for jewelry designers out there that are just learning how to put something together really quick and easy. And then you've got your design at the bottom. If anybody has any issues seeing what I'm doing today because there's comments in the way, just swipe left or right and those comments will go away so you can see a little bit more easily. Okay, so third and last design using the October Treasure Trove Kit, we're gonna make this guy here, which as I said, I was at the phone store getting a new phone and I couldn't stop thinking about this particular design. Then I got home and I didn't have the right pliers, so I had to really do it pretty quickly this morning, and I'm so glad that it all turned out okay. So for this design, you are going to need a couple of things. You're going to need, make sure I get all the right pieces. You're going to need the seed beads that are in the kit, and I think these are just like a size 11 seed bead. There's nothing really unusual or different about them. They're purple, you know, typical sized seed beads. And then some bugle beads. I really love this color of bugle beads because they really sparkle, especially when they hit the light. We're gonna need a copper clasp, and this is just a little toggle clasp, really easy to use and really light. And we're gonna definitely need our square crystal. So we'll grab that out too. And yeah, so if you love this and you want to be in on the next Treasure Trove Kit, because this one sold out, all you need to do is comment sold November Treasure Trove Kit or just sold kit, and I will make sure that the folks upstairs that do all the orders get your information so you can purchase one of these guys. You can also go to our website, www.softluxcompany.com. There's limited supplies. Because their materials are limited, we only have 38 of these available, and I will bead with them on November 22nd. And also just a reminder, Softflex is donating 15% of retail sales of satin silver Softflex, fine, medium, or heavy, 10, 30, or 100-foot spools to Sonoma County fire victims. We're in Sonoma County. Thankfully, our facility is safe, but there's so many that need so many things. So we are hoping to make a nice donation at the beginning of next month. In addition to what we're raising with all of you, if you want to contribute by buying some Softflex. What color is the wire in the November kit? The wire is white in the November kit, and the beads are gold, red, and clear. And then there's some, there's a crystal and some other goodies inside there as well. Okay, so here we go. And if you want to buy Softflex Satin Silver today, you can also just comment with your diameter and your length, and I'll make sure that the folks upstairs get that together for you as well. Okay, so moving on to our project. So all of these dangles are very similar. So again, I'll probably just show you one rather than all of them, but that'll kind of give you an idea of what to do, and then I'll show you what to do up the back end here to complete this design. So first and foremost, we're going to need a piece of Softflex. This is our purple amethyst color beading wire. Definitely one of my favorite colors. It's really, really pretty. And I need it to be, I'm going to measure for you. Just have an idea about what I'm using. I'm gonna guess you need the middle wire to be about 4 inches in length. That seems right to me. So we'll go ahead and just trim that 4 inches. Once it's actually beaded, that middle wire, the longest of the dangles, is about 2.5 inches from the very top. Let me kind of move these out a little bit from the very top to the very bottom. So 2.5 inches, I'm going to use a 4-inch piece of wire to make it here. And you are going to use our Softflex crimp tubes. You get a really nice sized package in the kit. These are 2x2 millimeter crimp tubes, which are perfect for our medium diameter wire. You're going to stick your crimp tube onto your wire, and then you're going to thread it through the crystal and come back down into that crimp tube again. And you want the wire to come out just a little bit because you want to make sure that you're going to really be able to cinch down into the nylon coating of both wires. And then just pull it. You don't want it tight. That's one of the big tricks of this necklace. The loop is actually pretty loose. That way it doesn't get bothered. Like, it should fall really gently from this crystal and not feel like it can't move around. So kind of nice and loose in your connection. Can I use a regular crimping? You can definitely use a regular crimping device, and you can use crimp covers too if you want to. I'm using the magical crimpers today, which have a little groove on both ends that are identical. And when you stick the crimp tube inside of that groove and compress, it creates what looks like sort of a little ravioli. It has 4 little corners. You stick it in again on its side, so those 4 little corners are now going to get compressed and compress. And then you just kind of turn a little bit and compress all the way around that crimp tube till it's all cinched into the nylon coating. And that not only crimps the wire to make like a nice, clean, strong connection, but it also looks really nice, like a little finished metal bead, which is handy in a design like this where it's up front and center and actually sort of part of your design. I'm going to come in and trim the excess wire, and then I can go ahead and string my series of beads. So I've got a seed bead and a bugle bead, and in the end I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seed beads and 8 bugle beads. And as you go down the line here, it's 8 bugle beads, 6 bugle beads, 4 bugle beads, and 2 bugle beads. So you'll just make them shorter and shorter as you go. And as I'm stringing this, I do have quite a few events coming up that I wanted to share with you. We will be doing the Bay Area Bead Extravaganza in Oakland, and that is coming up the first weekend of November, the 4th and 5th. I will be there doing demonstrations and signing my new book, Seed Bead Revolution. And we have a Softflex Gallery open house in Sonoma where we actually open our gallery on a weekend. We only do it once or twice a year typically, and it's just really fun. It's a holiday event. We have our Christmas tree up and cider, and again, I will be doing demonstrations and signing my new book there too that I wrote with Kristen. And Jewel School, I'm going on. November is just a crazy month, y'all. Jewel School on November 20th and 21st on JTV, and you can find that in your local cable listings, or you can actually watch it online, and I think you can even watch it on Facebook now. You should look for Jewel School on Facebook and like them, and I think you'll start getting their videos. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of the best things about doing Jewel School is Kristen, my co-author, is going with me. So we are doing a really super fun pajama party on the night of November 20th. I think we'll be doing it 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, because we'll be on Eastern time. So, and we will be probably pretty wiped out because we'll have done the show that morning. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more bugle bead. I can't wait to, Kristen. So we've got all sorts of really fun ideas. We'll be on the show with Sandra Younger, who I believe is the inventor of the Naughty Do-It-All board, which is a tool that I actually love to use. So I'm hoping to bring it for the pajama party so I can show you guys some projects on it using Softflex. And we'll be doing that live here on our own Facebook page. So you'll get notifications if you normally do for our videos. Okay, so to finish this off, I'm making this very center dangle here. I'm going to string another one of these 2x2 crimp tubes. And I'm just gonna back into the crimp tube with the wire because it crimps a lot better when it has 2 wires running through it rather than just one. So I'm gonna back into it, and then I can actually center this crimp tube inside my pliers, and then I like to just pull from the bottom. Oop, I'm gonna pull the right side to get in nice and close to my beadwork. You don't want to make it so tight that it doesn't have a little bit of flexibility to it. So keep a little tiny bit of space between your bead and your crimp. And it's easy to do that if you actually let the wire kind of pull out of the beads. I don't know if you can see how it's sort of pulling out. That'll force a little bit of extra space. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and crimp just like I did before with the magical crimpers all the way around so I get a nice round tube. And then I can come in and I can trim off that extra little piece of wire and then this extra piece of wire down here. And by all means, you could attach something else at the bottom if you wanted to using a loop. I just happened to not do that in this particular design. So that's what the dangle looks like. And like I said, it just changes in length as you go up from the middle. So the middle is the longest with 8 bugles. Then you've got 6, 4, and 2, 6, 4, and 2 matching on both sides. The only other thing I would note is you can see that the, and maybe I should bring it up higher so you can see it a little better. You can see that the crimp tubes are kind of varying too. And so when I was crimping the tops, I was very mindful of where the last crimp tube was, so I'd get sort of a nice V shape to reflect the V shape of the bottom of the crystal. So that's another thing just to consider as you're going through making it, that you want to kind of resemble that shape with your crimp tubes. So the top is also pretty simple. It's basically a long version of what we just did and attaching to the clasp on the other end. So you're going to take a long piece of soft flex, and let me see what length I'm suggesting here. I'm going to suggest using my fancy Fusion tape measure. I'm going to suggest starting with about 13 to 14 inches of wire on each side, so you want 2 of those. Again, we're using our Soft Flex medium purple amethyst wire. And we want 2 of those wires. We're gonna crimp. So I'm stringing my crimp tube onto the wire. I'm going to go into the crystal and then around. And this time I'm actually going to attach a little bit more tightly because I don't want this wire to slip over the top of the tip. I want one of them to stay on one side and one of them to stay on the other side. So in this case, we're going to tighten it down just a little bit, straighten the wires inside your crimp tube so they're side by side and you're getting a nice straight connection. And then go ahead and crimp using your magical crimpers or your regular crimpers if you want. You can use those too. These are just my preference. If you get a chance today, my good buddy Nilay Patel, who actually wrote the foreword of Kristen's and my new book, Seed Bead Revolution, is going to be doing a book review on Beads and Bubbles, which is his Facebook Live program. He's doing it at 3 p.m. today. He's actually doing a project from the book, so I'm kind of excited to see what project he chose. But if you get a chance to join him, I know he would love to see you guys there, and we'll definitely share it here on our Facebook page too. So the pattern for up here is a seed bead, a bugle bead, a seed bead, a bugle bead, seed bead, a bugle bead, seed bead. So we've got 3 bugle beads is basically how it breaks down. Nilay is so sweet, and he actually contributed a free project to the book at the very tail end of Seed Bead Revolution. So I hope you guys will check it out, and we'll be sure to share it as we get the opportunity to. And here we go. I want to get a good seed bead here. Okay, so I like to usually crimp the beads so that they stay put and they don't slide around. That just ensures that it's going to look the way I want it to look. So I'm going to string a crimp tube onto my wire. And then, like I said, I like to have 2 wires running through the crimp tube. So I'm going to just cut a little scrap piece of wire from my spool, and I'll string that inside of my crimp tube. So I'm doubling up on my wire. Oh, if it'll go in there, it isn't behaving. There we go. Okay, so we got that. I'm going to tuck it down towards the seed beads again, and then try to get the wires in there kind of straight so I get a nice straight clean connection. And then again, I'm just going to crimp that crimp into place. You want to go around it. At different times. We're also going to be having a great deal with the new book. We were having a little bit of an inventory issue because we just got inventory in, but we're also shipping out a ton of books for Jewel School. It'll be on, JTV later this month. So it looks like it's sold out, but we do have books here on hand. So as soon as the inventory gets fixed, we're offering a free 10-foot spool of soft flex beading wire in your color choice in medium with every purchase of the book. So if you haven't picked up a copy yet, now will be a good time to do that. And if you're interested in that, you can even just write sold Seed Bead Revolution in the comments, and I'll get your order up to the sales team upstairs to help you out. Okay, so here again, I've got my seed beads, my crimp, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm actually going to show you, normally I would just do it on my own, but I'm actually going to show you because I want to show you how you make the clasp the right length without having to do a lot of measuring. So let's just do this quickly so I can give you a quick tip on that. And hopefully you're picking up some new things that you can add to your jewelry making repertoire, or just some old ideas that maybe you haven't visited lately, like making basic wire wrap loops or knotting your silk cord. I'm just going to crimp this really quickly, get my seed beads on here. Terry says, I still have the older crimp tool. Is that okay? It's totally okay. It's just going to make more of a tubular shape rather than a round shape. So it's going to look different, but it will hold just as well, and it will still look nice, just a little bit different. Definitely okay. And you can pick up a pair of magical crimpers from Softflex Company if you're interested in updating your crimping pliers. Just go to our website, softflexcompany.com. Okay. Hi, Maureen. How are you? Are you up in Santa Rosa? How are you doing? You live up north there, don't you? The book is $23.95, and then, like I said, it's a free 10-foot spool of your choice of color. String my crimp tube on, and I need to get a little snippet of wire again. String this in. You'll get to see more, Esther, if you go on to Mile's program later today, 3 p.m. Beads and Bubbles. He's going to show you the book and actually do a project from the book. That'll kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Oh, Maureen, bad back in bed. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so I am going to crimp this up against those beads. Go around it quite a few times, tightening it down. Trim the extra wire, and this is what I like to do. I mean, first I measure for a necklace. I measure on my neck where I want it to fall. So let me flip you up real fast so we can talk. So usually I would go like this and do a little measuring, like where do I want it to fall? This seems like a good place. So I can mark it with one set of fingers, and I'll flip you back down again. can mark it with my fingers, and then I'll go ahead and attach, always holding on, pinching where I want it to start. I don't always finish designs in my design challenge videos, so this is kind of a nice opportunity to see how I'm actually finishing these bare wire designs. So I string the crimp tube on into my clasp and then go back into that crimp tube, always kind of just pinching the wire where I want it to be, and then pull it down. Again, you always want to leave enough room that your clasp can kind of move around. It doesn't need to be super tight. And then straighten your wires out inside your crimp tube and crimp and crimp the other way. Yeah, the Y necklace version does look kind of cool too. You don't have to do all the dangles. That's very true. Good point, Tammy. Okay, so once it's crimped, I can go ahead and trim off like I normally would. And then the second side, I like to do this. I take both of my wires like this, so I'm running my fingers up them, and then I can find that same spot on the other wire so I can crimp on the other side. And that way I don't have to do a lot of measuring. I can keep it looking nice and even without like a lot of fuss. I don't really like a lot of fuss. I like to just kind of get in there and do it. And then you just push your wire through just like last time, sort of pinching the wire where you want it to be, and you can finish it off. And the last little thing I'd say is always try to look at both sides and make sure your loops are a similar size. They don't have to be perfect. Again, nobody really compares those things. Just eye it out. And once it's a similar size, you can go ahead and go in and crimp it again. And go around it a few times. And I will go ahead and trim off that wire. So then you've got your connection here, and it's all nice and even and looks good. And if you ever have like a little where it sort of bends where you've done that second wire, just bend it the way you want it. Softflex is so forgiving. I mean, it really is pretty amazing how it will react to you and what you want it to do. Yeah, lots of measuring, no fuss. So if you want to finish off this design, you could just leave it like somebody was suggesting with a single dangle and even shorten it or lengthen it, whatever you want, or you can do the multiple dangles for sure. So let me just you guys again so that I can say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to participate next month, go buy your November Treasure Trove Kit now on the Softflex Company website, or just comment here, November Kit and sold, and I will get one out to you just as soon as we can. Thanks, guys. So nice to see you, and I'll see you all again soon. Okay, bye.